12 noon and the Tuesday edition of Niger Delta Today program. Welcome on the program. My name is Xavier Robert. We're back here to crisscross the world of the Niger Delta. And I'm not here alone, of course. I have company. Jenny, good afternoon to you.
Of course, the company, should I say, maybe there's a little bit of rhyme in colors today.
Absolutely. I'm sure we're here to do magic.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And of course, the magic is for the Niger Deltans. And this is Niger Delta Today. I'm Jennifer Pius, and in a number of issues cutting across the region, one of which stands tall is the petroleum troubles in Akwa Ibom State, which seems to be worsening. Well, we'll look at the recent withdrawal of service by the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association in the state, the repercussions of it having on commuters and motorists, as well as their grievances. And most importantly, at 37, how bright is the future of tourism in Akwa Ibom State? We'll hopefully have one of the state's executive council member who will shed light on these issues.
And then we'll take you straight to the traditional rulers law amendment in Akwa Ibom State. Conversations have surrounded how integrative the recent move by government is to make the seat rotated. We'll explore the significance of this to the state's traditional institution, and by extension, the question of how it fosters peace and unity in Akwa Ibom State. We'll also look at the untapped tech potentials for Niger Delta youths as the budding world of tech continues to excel. It's a packed program, so do stay tuned to Niger Delta Today. Right after this timeout, we'll delve into all of it.
Of overwhelming voices where everyone has different opinion on different issues. It is important that we bring the core issue to the fore. Join me, Nancy Banigo, on Softline as we lend our voices to inform and influence your thoughts and actions. This is not just mere talk, it is an invocative program that touches the core of our existence.
Thanks for staying tuned. Well, some weeks ago, Akwa Ibom State was trending on X as a number of persons were talking about the aesthetics of the state, the food, the landscape, and also some festivities, as well as some special occasions earmarked for tourists. This draws attention to the state for tourism reasons, which means that the state's economy should experience a lift as regards this. However, maintenance and sustenance is of utmost concern. With the significance of the 37th anniversary of the state creation, it is only proper to explore further the potentials of the state in its tourism sector. Well, joining us virtually is the Commissioner for Culture and Tourism in Akwa Ibom State, Sir Charles Uda. Commissioner, you're welcome on Niger Delta Today.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me on the program, Xavier.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. It's good once again as we get to talk about issues regarding tourism in Akwa Ibom State.
Well, it's always my pleasure to be with you on air and talk about tourism, which is one of the focal points of His Excellency, Dr. Akwa Ibom.
Well, Commissioner, first of all, let me extend my congratulations also to you. Akwa Ibom turned 37, and it is indeed no mean feat. But then it brings to question the tourism potentials in Akwa Ibom State. After 37 years, would you say that Akwa Ibom is well on its way to reaching its full potential when it comes to tapping into the wealth that the tourism sector gives?
Well, my answer will be in twofold. Number one, are we blessed as a state with rich tourism potential? The answer is yes. Do we have remarkable cultural heritage? The answer is yes. Does history favor us in tourism sector? The answer is yes. But however, as a people, this is the first time in 37 years that the government is consciously saying tourism has to become one of the major income earners for the state. Predominantly, for the better part of our existence, the oil sector has been seen to be the major economic driver. Akwa Ibom has been noted for being the largest oil producer, and that's what we've been noted for. However, because we are blessed, history favors us. The shores of Akwa Ibom, in the geographical dispensation called Nigeria, was the second largest slave trade slave trade route in Nigeria. You look at story, the bridge of no return, the women riot, all of those have links with Akwa Ibom State. Unfortunately, over the years, we didn't take advantage of it. And that's why you see that people, historians told wrong stories about those events, which is what we are deliberately trying to correct. Arguments are there about where the amalgamation of Niger took place. We have the amalgamation out. About where the 1929 women riot took place. We know that it took place. Our great grandmothers were the victims. So we are deliberately led by from the front by His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom, the past 2 months. We are deliberately trying to drive a new narrative, trying to tell our story and correct the wrong stories that were peddled about Akwa Ibom State.
Well, for Akwa Ibom State, we've had a number of sites, some of which you've mentioned, and one that has really been maybe of a controversy, especially on X, because some weeks ago that was under discuss, the Aba Women Riot as against Ikorobasi Women's Riot. Let me put it out to you. Can you say something with regards these two?
Come again, you're echoing. I can hardly hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, well, some of the discussion with regards to the tourist sites in Akwa Ibom State and a number of issues, one of which has been brought about some disparity, has been on X with regards to the Aba Women Riot, where some X-users have said it didn't take place in Aba, some said it took place in Ikorobasi. Well, let me put it out to you and give us some explanation with regards to that particular issue, the Aba Women Riot. Where exactly was it?
Well, clearly, in 1929, there was a protest. It was supposed to be a non-violent protest by women who were complaining about the taxation being imposed on them by colonial masters. Unfortunately, it took an ugly turn when what was supposed to be a non-violent protest became an unfair battle, as women were shot by the colonial policemen and some of them drowned in the adjoining river during the melee. Of course, over the years, historians had written that this took place in Aba. But let me say emphatically that the correct story is that the riot emanated from a place called Ukam Market in Ikorobasi. I repeat, that riot originated from Ukam Market. Ukam is spelled U for unity, K for Kingsley, A for animal, M for market. Ukam Market in Ikorobasi. This was where women gathered to protest against the colonial policy that imposed taxes on them for domestic animals, for household utensils. Unfortunately, that event took a wrong turn. Those women were led by Madame Udo Udoma, who is the mother of the late legal luminary, Sir Egbert Udo Udoma. And in Ikorobasi, there is a women war memorial museum erected in her honor that tries to depict one of the events of that day where Madame Udo Udoma snatched a gun from the colonial policemen and broke the gun into two. If you go to that museum tells a story. It reveals that the roll call of women who lost their lives in that war. And that was close to the waterfront. Of course, there's also a mock grave to be able to depict that. Now, unfortunately, the historian may not have known what that area was called. So he may have assumed that, Aba was probably the most popular place around there. And so he thought it was supposed to be Aba. And after all, it's also called Ikorobasi. So we are deliberately trying to correct that story. And that Memorial Museum in Ikorobasi tells it all. And the mock grave beside the river also tells that story. And so it's deliberate for us to, that's why we're running a campaign, Discover Akwa Ibom, where we're deliberately trying to retell our stories in the correct way. So that is that about the human rights.
All right, Commissioner, what you've just explained further underscores the importance of ensuring that we properly streamline the relationship between tourism and how effectively we can tell our histories and document these facts appropriately in our catalogs. But then, would you say that over the years, not just Akwa Ibom now, Nigeria has been up and doing in terms of properly documenting its history so that we don't get to have these discrepancies here and there, worrying about where a particular incident emanated from? How effective are we going to, moving forward, ensure that the tourism sector and our histories are properly reconciled?
Well, I think it requires an all-hands-on-deck approach. Government alone can't do it. Tourism is a sector where government business to create an enabling environment and allow it to thrive. Now, government is taking the lead in recreating the stories. And like I said earlier, the Minister of Culture and Tourism at Akwa Ibom State is running a campaign that can to drive tourism education, tourism awareness creation. For instance, there's also a niggling story where most people think that they find it hard to appreciate Merislator, the Scottish missionary who led the way to stop the killing of twins. And a lot of people have, in the past, have never appreciated how we Akwa Ibom. Then I say that, look, between the years of 1997 and 2004, the Scottish 10-pound note that they use for transactions, okay, it featured images to commemorate the life and works of Merislator. On the front of that note was the image of Merislator herself. Behind, there was a map that showed towns and villages where she lived and worked. Most of them are within the shores of Akwa Ibom. And that's why you see that we talk about the Merislator legacy. And that's why you hear His Excellency the Governor being very passionate.
Honorable Commissioner.
And so we
Okay, sorry, the network has been a bit fluctuating, but there's something else that brings to the fore some of these issues. We just want to understand. Well, we get to know that you started the Commissioner of Culture and Tourism most recently. But then it brings to our minds question as to what really has been limiting the fact that we haven't been putting these stories out there. We haven't been making so much of investment when it comes to culture and tourism in Akwa Ibom State. But a number of these stories have been taught in schools, and so many people were thought they are Bar Women's Riot. But it took us this far to begin the campaign. What really had brought about this gap or the limitation over the years?
Well, I think I answered that question in some part at the beginning of this conversation, where I said that for 37 years, the government of Akwa Ibom State, led by His Excellency Pastor Umar Bakito, is the first that has deliberately crafted a narrative to begin to push our tourism potential, to begin to push our rich cultural heritage in the front burner, with a view to making tourism one of the major income earners for the state. Over the years, crude oil has been the alpha and omega in all we do in our economy. It's been a major economic driver. This is the first time. And so that gap, you would understand, had existed because we didn't pay particular attention. And of course, you must also know that the Akwa Ibom man, up till the late 90s, the persona of the Akwa Ibom man was different from what it is today. The persona of the Akwa Ibom man before the beginning of the early 2000s, okay, was different. But today, the Akwa Ibom man is being looked at with respect. Of course, the culinary skill of the Akwa Ibom man is a front runner. The hospitality nature of the Akwa Ibom man is a front runner. The rich assets we have, we've been endowed with, from the 129 kilometers of shoreline, which is longest in Nigeria, and to the hospitable nature of our people, through the blessed effect of socio-economic development that successive governments have put in place. All that has combined to move Akwa Ibom State from being what used to be just a geographical location to being a destination today. I stand boldly to say that today, Akwa Ibom has become Nigeria's preferred destination for mine tourism. And so that explains that. And then so that's why we are deliberately going that route. That's why we're engaging everyone. That's why we are talking to everyone. That's why we are building a narrative. Of course, we've had opposition from here, and they say, no, it's not true. And I'm saying, look, we talk with facts. And so that explains why we haven't had that impact.
All right, Commissioner, let's bring this back home a little bit more. The issue of private sector involvement in tourism cannot be left unemphasized. And now, to what extent is the Umoina-led administration incorporating private sector involvement in boosting the tourism sector of the state?
Clearly, everywhere in the world, tourism, like I said earlier, is not driven by government. What government does and must do for tourism to succeed is to create an enabling environment. And that's what His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom is trying to do. Let's rewind back to December last year, okay, where we held the entire global media stage spellbound for 32 days. Now, to some people, that was a cultural expose. To some people, that was a contemporary entertainment setting. To most people, in a deeper sense of it, that was a gathering of 200 entrepreneurs in Akwa Ibom State, where government provided them security for 32 days. Government provided them power for 32 days. Government provided them security and environmental training for 32 days. Government also provided entertainment to drive traffic to enhance their businesses for 32 days. All of them, I can say emphatically, smiled to the bank. As we speak, people are queuing up to say, look, we want to be part of this event for this year. And that clearly shows that, look, government is on the right track. And then look on the other side. Look at go to the coastal area. You've heard us talk about romancing with beach developers. Government wouldn't use government funds that to develop those beaches. What government is doing is using the equity, using the goodwill we have, and then of course using the fact that today our infrastructure is top notch, such that from Uyo, the capital city, within 1 hour you get to any local government headquarters in Akwa Ibom State. Most of them on dual thoroughfare. That has attracted investors. That has made people want to come to Akwa Ibom and say, look, I want to do business. And then the fact that today Akwa Ibom owns the only football stadium in Nigeria that is approved by the Confederation of African Football, CAF, and the Federation of International Football, FIFA, for Nigeria as a country to play football matches. Now, to the layman, it might mean nothing. But for me and you understand and appreciate the fact that it costs humongous amounts of money to keep that stadium in the state that it is. Look at what happened to the National Stadium in Lagos. Look at the National Stadium in Abuja. Then you appreciate what Akwa Ibom State government is doing. Now, all those not to bring money to the coffers of government. Here we are talking about the multiplier effect of tourism. When Nigeria comes to play football in New York, the Super Eagles players will need to barb their hair. That's not government. The barber will have more people to cut their hair, and it's going to charge them some good money. When they go out to eat volley, eat roasted corn, the woman on the roadside who sells corn, okay, earns money. And when he earns that money recycles in our economy. When those boys come here to eat our food with the team they are playing, foreign teams, those teams come inject cash into our economy. All that has a multiplier effect. All that trickles down to the man on the street. Because even from the taxi driver who picks a passenger from the airport, when he drops, he gets paid. When he gets paid, he's going to buy food from the same market. That means the market woman gets from that pay that money that he got from the customer. When he wants to buy drugs, the pharmacy guy gets money from it. He wants to pay his house rent. The landlord gets the piece of that cake. Now that's the multiplier effect. That's why government is setting up the enabling environment to ensure that we can drive tourism such that Akwa Ibom can have the multiplier effect. Look at agro-tourism, for instance. Just a few days ago, a few weeks ago, His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Mono, led a delegation, which I was privileged to be a member, to the 2024 Africa Food Systems Forum in Kigali, Rwanda. Now, to some people, what are you going to do there? And of course, that was a setting to tell us that, look, there's something called agri-tourism. Now, agri-tourism is huge. That's why you go towards Rubio. The Igbo model farm is the first of its kind in this part of the world that is going to become an agri-tourism facility. It's a farm, yes. It's a farm that produces and consumes everything. There's no wastage in it. Within that farm complex, there is also a hospitality facility. Conferences will hold there. Now, so those are the kind of things that His Excellency government brings to them.
Okay, also, well, I have to bring in the issue or the case of Cross River State, where over the years there was a tropical Tinapa resort, and after a number of years it was quite silent. But I want to understand, has there been a blueprint set out to take care of issues of maintenance, issues of sustenance as well? So with or without you in office, subsequent commissioners and government can also look after the tourism sector such that nothing is being left behind.
Well, I think Akwa Ibom State is blessed that over the years we've had governors who, in my words, I would call them, they were star boys in their different rounds. Now, if you understand that, then you appreciate that Akwa Ibom is not a race. Take, for instance, the Nest of Champions. You can choose to call it Godwin Akwa Ibom International Stadium. You can call it Nest of Champions. You can call it Akwa Ibom International Stadium. It's all the same. Now, that stadium was built by His Excellency, the current Senate President of Nigeria, Senator Godwin Akwa Ibom, when he was governor. Now, former Governor Udo Emmanuel came and continued the trend of maintaining that stadium. Pastor Mono is here. He's doing the same. Now, that clearly shows you that, look, if you look at, let me also use that, give you an example. If you look at the National Stadium in Lagos, it's an asset. It's gone, decayed. The one in Abuja, which is new, is also gone. That shows that Akwa Ibom has a history. Ibom especially is still there. Several assets built by the previous administrations are still there. The blueprint of Akwa Ibom today was designed by architect Obawata. Senator Godwin Akwa Ibom came, he continued, Ray Emmanuel continued, Mono has continued. That's why you hear Pastor Mono talk about connecting the dots. Meaning that, look, there is a deliberate plan. And I think that also blessed as a people that successive governors we've had have had that synergy. And it's even getting better today, where His Excellency Pastor Mono has brought everybody together, irrespective of political affiliation, irrespective of ethnic affiliation. We have one Akwa Ibom. And so I don't have any fear.
Well, Commissioner, let me also put this to you. I mean, when we look at the tourism sector, people might be wondering, what is really in it that is different from the oil boom that everybody is really focused on? If you were to put figures out, what would you say Akwa Ibom State stands to gain in terms of boosting its GDP if it were to fully invest in the tourism sector, if that is to appeal to the sentiments of people watching us right now?
Well, clearly, let me put it this way. Let me just take it let me explain. How does tourism benefit our economy? And in clear short terms, I could say from on a tripod of four legs. Okay? Or I could put them on four plans. Number one, infrastructure development. It means that income from tourism will contribute to improving public services and, of course, overall economic growth. Then, of course, there is job creation. Tourism today in the global economy is the largest employment opportunity creator, from restaurants to hotels to souvenir shops to transporters. All of them are creating jobs. aggregate all that, tourism is the largest job creator. So job creation is the second leg. The third leg is positive impact. Of course, when visitors come, of course, they will experience the hospitality of the residents. That has an impact on them. That has an impact on our people. Our people can begin to aspire. Our people can begin to integrate. Our people can begin to learn new things and gain new experiences. Take, for instance, we are talking about landmark coming to Ibno. The moment landmark sets its foot on Ibno, it means that the youth of Ibno will be trained on different things they didn't know before. Even those whose ecosystem is the beach. There are new things, new technologies that they will be exposed to. That is the impact of tourism. And then finally, increased revenue. When visitors spend money on accommodation, when visitors spend money on food they eat, when visitors spend money on transportation and activities that stimulate the local businesses, all that brings an injection of funds and revenue into the economy. So on those four legs, I'll tell you those are the major four benefits. There are so many, but I've aggregated them into four. Number one, increased revenue. Number two, infrastructure development.
Okay.
Number three, job creation. And then, of course, number four, the positive impact that it brings.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, thank you. But then, just before we let you go, a lot of developments have surrounded the traditional institution in the country, in the state, I beg your pardon. But then, you would agree that your office also mirrors some level of connection to what is happening within the traditional stool in the state. What would you make of the recent moves by the State House of Assembly, which had reviewed that and amended that law that has to do with rotation of the President General of the traditional stool in the state?
Well, clearly, tourism is an all-hands-on-deck approach. Okay? Now, for a city, a state, or any domain to be successful in tourism or to be seen as a tourist destination, it ultimately depends on a few things. Number one, the location. Number two, the history of the people. Number three, the culture of the people. Number four, the attraction of the people. Number five, hospitality. Now, if the culture and history where you are dragging it does not allow for visitors to come and feel at home, like we say, come, live, work, and play, then of course visitors won't come. If there's no harmony, people won't come. If there's no peace, people won't come. Nobody wants to go to a war-torn area. Nobody wants to go to a disjointed area. And so, the peace and harmony of Akwa Ibom State, we've been blessed that in the past 6 or 7 to 8 to 9 years, Akwa Ibom has been consistently rated as probably Nigeria's most peaceful destination. That is not only government doing. Government is doing its bit. But because you and I, every Akwa Ibomite, both residents and non-Akwa Ibomites, indigenous and non-Akwa Ibomites, all of us have accepted and decided and committed to ensuring that Akwa Ibom is peaceful because it benefits our businesses, it benefits our economy. And so that act is also another step towards ensuring that our current leadership position as Nigeria's #1 destination for mines, tourism continues to be so. And then, of course, not to add the fact that with Ibom Air and the aviation hub within the airport in Akwa Ibom State, once the aviation hub becomes fully operational, then, of course, peace is not negotiable. Unity is not negotiable.
All right, Honorable Commissioner. Thank you very much for your ideas on Niger Delta today. Thank you for coming on the program. We really hope that we'll continue to see the much-needed revolution within the tourism sector in Akwa Ibom State. Thank you for being a part of Niger Delta today.
Thank you so much, Xavier. God bless you. Thank you, Eddie.
Once again, happy anniversary.
Same to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well,
just as we would dock with this particular story, I mean, the controversy concerning the position of the President General of the Traditional Rulers Council in Akwa Ibom State has been finally put to rest. The controversial Traditional Rulers Council law was amended in October 2023 and was swiftly followed by criticism from different office holders and ethnic groups According to them, this will further burden issues of segregation and marginalization. However, in a move to put to rest the issue, Governor Pastor Umoino met with stakeholders involved and set the motion running for an amendment, after which the governor approved the State Traditional Ruler Law 2022 Cap 155, which allows for the rotation of the office of the President General of the Akwa Ibom State Traditional Rulers Council among various ethnic groups in the state. Well, while presenting certificates of recognition to newly acknowledged traditional rulers at the Traditional Rulers Council Secretariat in New York, Pastor Umoino urged citizens to rise above ethnic divisions and come together for the development of the state. Let's get you the details of this particular interaction the governor had.
Celebrates 37 years of peace, progress and development. Pastor Umoino commended the traditional leaders for their peaceful approach to resolving issues in their communities, while urging them to avoid politics and support the current administration.
The matter today have been amicably resolved as we have just signed into law the rotation of the position of the President General of the Supreme Council of Traditional Rulers. The position will now be rotated among the ethnic configuration of our dear state. No one ethnic group is superior to the other, and as our state anthem says, let us rise above ethnicity.
The governor urged the traditional leaders to set aside anything that does not promote peace and to embody the true identity of the state, assuring them that he will continue to prioritize their welfare.
A short time, but will be remembered most importantly for the role we played while we were here on earth. Thank you so much, and I thank you. I thank all of our fathers, royal fathers, for the work they did in their various communities to hold down peace until this law has now been amicably resolved.
The Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Honorable Frank Achibong, praised the governor for the peace experienced in the state and the political accommodation that has fostered hope for democracy, noting that the governor has successfully united traditional leaders and the opposition. Additionally, he emphasized that the governor's Arise agenda has led to development and improved infrastructure in rural communities, bringing great happiness to the people.
Leadership Arise agenda and has opened up new positions, rising stars, investment, security, and cultural. In other words, has brought remarks in our rural support for the including the pensioners.
The President General of the Akwa Ibom State Traditional Rulers, His Eminence Intenim Solomon Etok, urged people both at home and abroad to contribute to the progress of their communities, emphasizing that everyone, regardless of gender or age, has a role to play in community development.
As a son and daughter of Akwa Ibom State, at home and in diaspora, we must take responsibility for whatever position is saddled upon us. Take responsibility. Remember, you have a role.
Well, the issue of the Traditional Rulers Council has been put to rest. But let's move on to some other issues, as the budding tech world has in recent times made significant waves the world over, causing wonder as to how the Niger Delta youths can come to benefit from the wealth of this revolution, and by extension, Nigerian youths. After this time out, well, we'll have a conversation with some fine gentlemen of Niger Delta roots and extraction who are well on the way to tap into the gains of the tech world, and who also have interesting ideas to share with youth of the Niger Delta who believe they have more to offer through the timeless and limitless opportunities in their hands, made possible by technology. Well, do stay tuned for this very informative conversation.
No matter wetin I see, enough fit make mouth heavy to talk am. That's now why people dey talk.
You know wetin dey worry you, but you no go fit take help yourself.
In this kind of situation now, what if they really no talk to una? Wetin be the way forward?
They go bury our chairman on Thursday. We go remain here.
Make we talk good where we dey see good, and where we know say we not dey see good, make we also dey talk am.
No woman, no mother deserve to know the grave of his child.
The bank manager, the bank executive, they are the one the government should first face.
People They Talk, the show on Monday to Friday by 5 p.m. on top ADBN TV.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Well, in an evolving world where tech is very much beginning to take over the landscape of Nigeria, I mean, the conversation has always been how can youths be empowered through this very flourishing sector so that they can begin to tap into the great potentials of the tech world. Now, we understand that a lot of conversations has hovered around the oil sector, how Nigeria has been dependent on oil for as long as we can even imagine, but then there are different ways that youths are beginning to tap into the wealth and powers of tech and making so much gains from it. Today in the studio, I have some fine gentlemen who will be speaking on how the Niger Delta youths can benefit from the wealth that is domiciled in tech. I have here joining me on the show to explore these avenues in the tech world, a tech consultant, digital marketer, in the person of Emmanuel Patrick. Emmanuel, you're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much.
I also have joining me an expert content developer and tech instructor, Kingsley Etim. Kingsley, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's good to have you guys on Niger Delta today. Well, I don't know the fine place to start this conversation, but I would just start from the very basic, which is we have seen over time a lot of changes within the polity here in Nigeria. We've seen a lot of youths breaking grounds. I mean, the other day I was fortunate to meet a 23-year-old driving something really crazy. But then, you know the experience in Nigeria when you see a young man, pulling such weight. The first thing that uninformed security agencies would go to would be that, oh, he's into the popular word, cybercrime. But then, over time, we've come to learn, by exposure, that these guys are not doing anything illegal. They're actually in very, very lucrative ventures, and they are making their money legally. Can you help us have an overview of the tech world here in Nigeria and what is the experience currently in the country?
Well, thank you very much. Tech is really broad, as I would say, but the part where we specialize in is in the digital aspect of tech, because tech has a very wide range that we need to cover if you want to talk about tech in general. But the digital aspect of tech is the part I want to really focus on, and which is the part that has really generated a lot of revenue for a lot of Nigerian youths. It is very lucrative. And I would say there is no limit to how much money you can make in tech. There are some people in tech that are earning money more than some politicians in the state, in the Niger Delta region. I know politics alone has a lot of revenue or money that is involved, and that attracts a lot of youth too. But it's not easily accessible as it is in tech.
Well, essentially, the monies are not even supposed to be meant for the officials. They're meant for the people to augment their living standards and create developmental projects.
Exactly.
So definitely, if you can't compare the money made from politics to that made from tech.
I agree, because I think that was 2021. There was a friend of mine, he was 23 years old, and he was making 23 million naira a month from tech. He worked for about 6 companies as a product designer, and he makes that amount of money. I know that We have politicians that are not earning up to the amount. If they do, some of them are either diverting public funds. So what I actually want to speak about is the opportunities that is available in tech for all Nigerian youth. It is very, very wide. It is, I don't know which word I can use in particular just to express the level of opportunity that is out there. It positions you as a global citizen because you're not going to be depending only on the economy of your state or the economy of your country, economy of your environment. You're going to be depending on the global economy. You're going to be exposed to global opportunities. You're also going to be exposed to a global network.
So in other words, when you talk about tech and a youth that is into it, you only hear of things are hard in Nigeria just through your ears. You don't experience it. Is that it?
Somehow. Because at the end of the day, Nigeria is a country that we import a lot of things. I think almost 80% of what we consume are imported. So that means we depend heavily on the forex market. So tech gives you the opportunity, especially if you are selling it in the international market, to earn international revenue in different currencies.
Let me quickly chip in before I go to Kingsley. What are those areas? I know you just mentioned that the tech world is really vast, different arms to it, but then I would like to know, what are those areas, specific areas that youths of the Niger Delta can tap into, which you could call more viable, that they could easily, be able to function effectively and also make commensurate gains from them?
I think the one that has the beta learning curve or linear learning curve, I would say, is the digital aspect of tech. Because I started mine without a mobile device. I borrowed devices from people without any device, and I've been able to build a lot of wealth in tech. So the one that I would advise Niger Delta youths to focus on is digital tech. Learn a digital skill in tech. Maybe it is development, software development, digital marketing, product design, and many more. There are so many skills I can't even mention. And more are still coming as the ecosystem keeps on expanding. And there are some that will be very relevant in the near future to come. So I think the first thing they need to do is to do their forensic analysis on the skills that will stay for the next future, like the next 30 to 40 years, and then go for those ones first.
Okay, Mr. Kingsley, I'd like you to speak on the issue of mentorship and, of course, the issue of how these youths can, what moves can they make when it comes to the issue of capital? Before people do stuff, they tell you, I don't have the capital. What is the place of capital in venturing into tech? And what is the place of mentorship? And how can they make those right decisions that they need to make before they can get into tech?
All right, first of all, what I'll say is no Niger Delta youth or no youth should have any issue with capital, right? Because you have a smart device, you have a mobile phone, you have access to the internet, you have data, then you're good to go. Just instead of wasting your data and your resources on things that don't add value to you, you can go to places where you can start your tech career. Like, let's say some of the skills that he mentioned, right? Like the product design, the graphics design. These are things that you can find resources online, very, very accessible. Places like YouTube, Coursera, different places where you can learn these courses online and for free. So you don't need to wait until you have a mentor, someone who shows you the way directly. Yes, it's good to have a mentor. A mentor is going to guide you, but to make the work easy for your mentor, you need to have something on
already lay some background to the experience you need to have as a tech expert. Well, that pretty much gives some perspective, but then let's talk a little bit about to what extent can venturing into tech change the narrative that we have in the country and over-reliance on the oil sector. We talk a lot about the oil boom in the country, and it might seem as though we don't pay attention to other ventures. How can government tap into the different wealths of the tech world in empowering its youths? And to what extent would this help in cutting away the unemployed youths that have to deal with one thing or the other before they can put food on their tables?
to answer that question, it's a very broad answer, as I would say. Starting from the demographics of the Niger Delta region, I know we have over 60% of the population are youth below the age of 30, and that is very alarming. But now, these are the guys that are going to position in the future. So I see tech as a human development capital that the government should invest in. If the government invests heavily in making tech hubs available across the state that are giving quality tech education, because there is a possibility they can make that available, but it's not of great quality, giving quality tech education or partnering with private sectors that can actually help them execute, because we know how government agencies operate sometimes. They might not pay full attention to the development. So we have quality tech hubs or partner with private hubs that can actually help them execute the training of youth. It can help develop the number of the population of youth that we have in the Niger Delta region to come on board tech. And this would also help them a lot, because a lot of youths are going to have the opportunity to connect and build a network internationally where they can earn international revenue. And I know one of the ways that the government can actually generate money from this is actually positioning in such a way that they can tax the revenue that is coming from this. So while helping the youths, should also position tax systems that can also, because tech guys make a lot of money, that if the government have a structure to tax these guys, it will also help them generate revenue, which is more like return on investment for empowering these guys. And it will also help reduce the unemployment that we have in Nigeria.
Okay. Now, one issue bothers me. I wonder to what extent there is enough awareness of this sector. Do you think that the youths in the Niger Delta and Nigeria in general are well aware of what they can do with skills of this nature? And what can be done to ensure that they understand what really plays out?
Well, I think most of the youths are well aware, but not to the extent that it should be. One of the problems we are facing is giving them adequate information, because for most people, what attracts them to tech is the money. And if I'm trying to mentor somebody in tech, I don't really talk about the money. I tell you how hard it's going to be. You're not going to have a bed of roses where you start earning big money. You're going to go through a process. I personally have been in tech for 6 years. My first 3 years was not funny. It wasn't very fun. I was still in school, studying electrical engineering, and still having to learn a tech skills, still having to push. So I started from very hard to normal. And when I got to the normal level, it wasn't as if it wasn't hard anymore. It was still very hard.
You still needed to put in the work.
I was used to it. I was used to the very hard and hard process. And it was not like a normal life before it became easy and very easy.
All right, Kingsley, coming to you now. If you were going to use your experience to speak to the consciousness of the youths listening and watching you right now, what would you use your experience to tell them as regards what is expected to break out in this very budding sector?
First of all, the most important thing is consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. Because you can start, but then what is that driving force? What is driving you? Everybody starts tech. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are watching this now and they started already, but then they gave up halfway when they discovered that it is not as easy as they expected, or getting the money, seeing the flashy lives that people live is not that easy to come by. So consistency is the ball of the game. If you're not consistent, then you're not going to succeed in it. And also another thing is keep learning. The tools you're using today, or you're going to learn today, if you're starting out today, may not necessarily be the tools that will be relevant in the future. I mean, people who started writing, let me use the writing sector, who started writing 3-4 years ago, there was no ChatGPT, right? There was no AI that can help you write. But right now we have the emergence of AI that can do a lot of things. And please, when you're coming into the tech world, don't see AI as an enemy, right? Embrace the emergence of AI. AI is here to make your work better. AI is here to make your job, make you do your things, the things you do faster. Right, so be consistent and always keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. And finally, what I'm going to say is, don't be known for one thing, right? Be a jack of all trades, if possible, because in this tech world, people who are jack of all trades succeed a lot. Because if I am just a graphics designer, what happens on days where I don't have graphic jobs? I am left stranded, right? But I am a graphics guy. I can do videos. I can also do social media management and a lot of other skills.
Multi-skill set.
Yes, multi-skill set. And if you cannot learn the multi-skill set, know someone and know people who can do these things. I mean, let's help ourselves in the Niger Delta. No man can stand alone, right? Many trees is what make up a forest. No one tree can make a forest.
Well, as we begin to round up this conversation, I'm going to come to you again on the issue of the Niger Delta youth, specifically Akwa Ibom right now. I mean, there have been this narrative that have been circulating in hushed tones, though, about how serious or zealous or interested in growth the average Akwa Ibom youth is. Although I don't share in the whole narrative entirely, I mean, look at you guys, you're doing well. So it simply means it is not entirely true. But talking about hard work, talking about being creative, innovative, and doing what needs to be done to be able to reach where you want to be, what would you say to the Akwa Ibom youth or the Niger Delta youths generally?
Well, I think I would advise them to look away from politics and other things that distracts them from self-development. I see politics as a very big distraction for Nigerian youths or Akwa Ibom youth as a whole. There are not a lot of industries here. The previous governor, Odominiwano, tried to do industrialization. Maybe he foresee this problem in our youth, but it wasn't really working as he planned. So one of the things we should look away from is look away from politics, look away from all this oil money, look away from the fact that the government can actually help you, and see yourself as the only person that can come and save yourself. There's nobody that is coming to save you, actually. I started from nothing, and having the mindset that my parents, my brothers, my siblings, nobody can help me, really helped me to put in the hard work. I'm responsible for my own life. I'm responsible for everything. So I pushed myself to learn and become one of the best. And it doesn't just end at becoming the best. You have to push yourself to become one of the best known, because being best known is different from being one of the best. I think when you become best known, that means you have sold to a network. You have a network of people which you can easily sell to. And that is what is actually going to pay you. And that's a lot of hard work you need to put in there to transition from best to best known.
Okay. What are the money spinners in tech? If you were to mention 3 areas that you would say, maybe there are some confusions in the minds of persons watching right now. Okay, if I wanted to start, what should I start on? They don't know what to start on. What would you say? Okay, these are the 3. You could pick one out of this, and I bet you if you put in the work and you do everything you need to do, you're consistent, you are bound to succeed.
Well, that's a very tricky question, but I like it actually. The thing is, every part of tech can generate very high revenue. Honestly, some people see marketing like easy learning, easier to learn, and can quickly make money. It's true, but then there are marketers that make money more than developers. Some people see developers as the real guys that are doing the tech, the mindset, they are coding. But then developers also make money, and there is how a marketer can position and make money more than a developer. So the thing I would advise is all of them can pay very well. The first thing you should do is look at the ones that will stay in the next 30 to 40 years, because you are planning to do this for the rest of your life. So you're not planning to come in, make a little money and run out. You're planning to stay for it. So we know that video editing is going to be one of the things that will take into the future. AI mastery, people that will become AI masters, and many others. Even writing is still going to be there, because writing is like the mother of digital skills. Designs are still, almost all of them are still going to be there, including coding. Maybe to be done with AI. But the thing is, you should focus on mastery. You shouldn't focus on the one that would pay you fast or generate income. If you want to do video, you can focus on video, become one of the best, master it, and then become best known for being a video wizard or video, whatever they want to call you. And that's where you are going to generate high revenue from.
Yes, just before we head out of the studio, I'd like to get your parting shots. Tim, let me start with you.
All right, guys, just work hard, right? Work hard, be consistent, and like Emmanuel Patrick here said, as you're working hard, make sure you're connecting, because your net worth is in your network. So connect.
Terrific. Patrick.
Thank you very much.
What would be your parting shot?
Thank you. Well, I don't like giving people advice because it puts me in this place of a motivational speaker. But but what I would like to say, if I am going to say anything, is just be consistent. It's still the same thing that Kingsley said. Consistently work hard. It's going to be hard. It's never going to be easy. Like, don't even have it at the back of your mind that it's going to be sweet, rosy. It's going to be very hard. You are going to suffer. So be ready for it. Be ready for the pain, because without pain, there is no gain.
Yeah. I think that's a fine place to leave it. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being a part of Niger Delta today. I'm sure these ideas shared would go a long way in impacting the minds of youths that are watching currently. Well, if you're just joining us in Niger Delta today, we have been playing host to a tech consultant, digital marketer, Emmanuel Patrick, as well as an expert content developer, tech instructor, Kingsley Etim. They've told us what the tech world is all about and what it takes to break in. So if you are a youth listening currently and you want to tap into the wealth of this sector, now is your chance. Well, we'll take a short break, and when we're...
No matter wetin I see, enough fit make mouth heavy to talk am. That's now why people dey talk.
You know wetin dey worry you, but you no go fit take help yourself.
In this kind of situation now, what if they really no talk to una? Wetin be the way forward?
They go bury our chairman on Thursday. We go remain here.
Make we talk good where we dey see good.
The bank manager, the bank executive, they are the one the government should first face.
People They Talk, the show on Monday to Friday by 5 p.m. on top ADBN TV.
Welcome back. While away from the tech talk, in Akwa Ibom State, a number of concerns have been raised with regards to the shutting of filling stations as a response to the withdrawal of services by the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association in the state. But we do hope that issue is being resolved, as the people would really be looking forward to issues that will not worsen the hardship of the people. Well, that would be where we'll draw the curtains of today's edition on the program Niger Delta Today. I'm Jennifer Pius, and of course,
I'm Xavier Robert. Thank you for staying with us.
Do have a great day.